Good morning or afternoon, everyone. My name is Jeremy Walsh, and I'm the Director of Support, Training, and Documentation for BNI Connect. I'd like to welcome everybody to today's webinar. Today's webinar is how to maintain your chapter website, or for chapter webmasters. What we're going to be going over today is some of the very, very basics of how to go in and edit your chapter website, how to find the place to edit your chapter website, some of the basic things that you can do with your chapter website, what they look like, what the default looks like. So this webinar is scheduled for a half-hour worth of content, and it is a live webinar. So if you have any questions as we're going through the content today, please do feel free to ask them. I'm always happy to stay on these calls until everybody's questions are answered. Once the webinar is complete, you will be able to review this webinar by going to a couple of different places. In BNI Connect, if you click on the question mark in the upper right-hand corner, this will take you to our support site. And at the bottom, if you scroll down to the training section, there's a group called Webinars. And they're broken out by month. So, for example, you can click on May 2013. And here's a copy from May 7th that you can review if you'd like to. Or you'll see the ones from June come up very shortly. You can also go directly to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/BNI Connect Global. And on this site, you can see a whole bunch of webinars from all the topics that we cover in our monthly series. So let's talk about chapter websites a little bit. And actually, we already have a quick question here from Karen. Karen says, do we get credits for attending? As far as CEU credits go, that is a regional decision. The CEU slip that we enter in BNI Connect here, this is the official BNI slips program and the official BNI CEU program. Unfortunately, there is not specifically a category here for BNI webinars or webinars in general. So what I would do is definitely check with your director consultant for your chapter or your executive director to find out how they monitor the CEUs, the credits for this particular type of training. I can tell you that what a lot of regions do is, the credits roughly equate to the amount of time that you spend doing these various learning activities. What a lot of regions will do is just use one of these one-credit courses and submit a slip for that. So hopefully that helps, Karen, but definitely check with your director consultant or your executive director before doing that. All right, so let's take a look at the chapter websites. Now, every chapter in BNI has their own chapter website, as long as they're a part of BNI Connect, which about 90% of the world is right now. What do they look like? Well, let's take a look at one of our test sites. I'm going to go to antarcticreferrals.com. This is our testing site, and I'm going to just go and find a chapter here and take a look at the chapter. So let's take a look at the Burr chapter. That's our cold chapter up there in Antarctica. And I'm going to click on View Chapter Website. Now, this is a publicly accessible website, meaning anybody that is on the Internet can get to this chapter website. Now, that's great because it gives you some visibility for your chapter. This is what it looks like out of the box. So you can see that it has the name of the chapter. It has some details about your chapter, so when you meet, where you meet, who your director is, how many members you have in the chapter, who your leadership team is, how to get in touch with all those people. This thank you for closed business number is automatically pulled from the system, as is all of the stuff on the left there. It gives a brief explanation of what BNI is and a stock image. It also will list out all of the chapter members. So if you go and you click on a chapter member, and I'm going to click on somebody's name here, it will show their profile online as well. So all of this is free. It's included with the chapter membership. So it is a benefit that you can utilize. What we're going to talk about today is some of the ways that you can customize this page and how to do that to make it more your own. Just so you know, these are indexed by Google as well. For example, there's a chapter, BNI Mill River. They're up in the Massachusetts. If I do BNI Mill River, you'll see that their BNI Connect site comes up first in the Google results. And if I click on it, they've done a little bit of customization to their web page. You can see that they put their Facebook link up here. They changed the wording of the page so that it is a little bit more descriptive about their chapter in general. They took out the stock picture and instead put an interactive Google map there. They also created a chapter news page so that they could share information about their chapter on a weekly basis. These are all things that you can do with very little to no web programming experience. So let's take a look at how to do these things in BNI Connect. So the first thing you need to do, obviously, is to log into BNI Connect. Now, this is located under Tools, CMS, Chapter Websites. Now, if for some reason you're on the call today or you're reviewing this webinar later, if you do not have the Tools menu, that's something to talk to your regional office about. It is a special permission that gets assigned to you as a chapter webmaster. And once they assign you that permission, that option will appear in BNI Connect. So if you don't have it and you want it, give a call to your director consultant, your executive director, your regional office, and they will be able to help you out with that. Now, taking a look at the chapter websites. Now, because I am a system administrator, I will see all of the chapter websites. As a chapter webmaster, you'd probably only see the one website that you have access to. So it might look something closer to this. We would just have our BRR chapter here. I can click on this link and it will bring me to our BRR chapter website. Or I can go in and click on the edit icon over here on the right-hand side. This is where we're going to do most of the editing for the chapter web page. Once you click on Edit, this is the screen that comes up. Now you see the screen is broken into a couple of options. We have this first screen that I'll go into the details of in a couple of minutes. We have the library, and we have the site information. Now the Pages screen, these are all the different pages that we have the opportunity to edit. Before we go into the pages, though, one thing that you may want to do is to work with your library. Now, what the library is that in order to get an image, so let's say that you have photos of your chapter or photos of your chapter members, or you just like to use a different graphic than the one that was up on the chapter website, in order to get those onto the page, you first have to put them into the library on the site. You have to make them available to the website. We do that by clicking on the Library tab. Now, to get photos up into the library, we just click the Upload button down here at the bottom. This is going to take us to a screen where you'll see a magnifying glass. Click on the magnifying glass, and this will search your computer for images that you might want to put up on your chapter website. So let's say I'd like to put this picture of a boat up there. I would just click on that. It's going to tell me that it's ready to be uploaded. It has to be a JPEG, a PNG, or a GIF file. And we click Upload. And now we can see that this file is ready to be used on our website somewhere. If I'd like to, let's say I wanted to delete these old photos that I put up there, I could just put a check mark in the box and click Delete. And that would remove the photos from the chapter library. If I'd like to upload another one, I just click the Upload button again and click on the magnifying glass. And let's say that I wanted to put up this, a BNI logo or something like that. I could always go and just find that logo. So I'm going to look in my Logos folder here. And let's say I want to put up this BNI Connect logo onto the site. And again, I click Upload. And now that file will be ready for me when I go and edit the page in a few minutes. If you'd like to, you can also put links up to document files, such as Word documents or PowerPoint presentations, things like that. And it even gives you the ability to put Flash objects up there. I don't have either of those that I'd like to put on the site right now, so I'm going to skip that. Let's take a look at the next tab. So the third tab over is the Site Information tab. This is more the back-end changes of the website. So what you'll see at the top line here is this is the link to your chapter. So if you're telling people, hey, go check out our chapter website, they would go to your regional website first, and then they could add your chapter name to the end of it. Now, right now, our chapter website link is antarcticreferrals.com/shiver-region-BRR-chapter. That is a mouthful if you're trying to tell other people to go to that website. You do have the opportunity to change that if you'd like to. So right here, you have the chapter folder name, and you do have the ability to put whatever you'd like in there. You know, maybe it's easier to tell people to go to antarcticreferrals.com/BRR. Well, you could do that. I'm just going to change this to BRRR, BRR. Then I can have that as a link on other chapter web pages. I can put it in my emails if I want to, and it's just a whole lot easier to say than /shiver-region-BUR-chapter. The next line is the tagline for the site, and that's what appears under your chapter name on the site, right up here, like at the top of the screen. We can't change that. It doesn't give us the opportunity to type in there. That is a BNI trademark. It's a registered trademark, so that is going to stay there. You do have the opportunity to also change the button names that are on the site. So again, if we go back to our chapter site, oops, I forgot the A in that. That's these three buttons here in the upper right-hand corner. They're really just links that take you back to your regional website, or back to AntarcticReferrals.com in this case, or it takes you to BNI.com, or it takes you to the login page for BNI Connect. Now, before you go and change these, please do check with your regional office or executive director. One of the great things about the BNI Connect chapter websites is there's a lot of pieces of them that keep them branded and uniform throughout all of the chapters in the region. It's great for consistency. Changing these may take them out of branding compliance, or it may take them out of consistency with the rest of the region. So before you do change these button names, please check with your regional office or your executive director. Now, assuming they do allow you to change it, you can go in and let's say you want the members only button instead to say BNI Connect Login. You can do that. Finally, if you'd like to track who's going to your chapter website and what they're doing once they get there, you can sign up for any of a number of analytics services. The most popular, of course, is Google Analytics. You just need to copy and paste the code that they give you for that service and put it right up in here. Now, if you've made any changes to this, make sure that you click the Update button at the bottom. This will take a couple of seconds to process, usually between 5 and 15 seconds. That one was on the 5-second side. And you'll see that our preview site and our live site have changed their links down here. So now it's just AntarcticReferrals.com BUR. Now, you might be wondering, why are there two different links down here? The way that CMS editors work is that you're always working on a copy of the website, so that it may take more than one sitting to get through and get all of the changes that you want made to the site. You may want to be able to look at it and then go back and make some more changes. So what you're working on is a copy of the website, and that's called the preview site. Now, once you're satisfied that everything has changed the way you want it to change, you can make that site go live, so it'll then take that copy and overwrite the live site when you click the Publish button. So by clicking the Publish button, it takes all of the changes that we just made to the back-end copy and brings them to the live copy that the rest of the world is looking at, even while you're making those changes. So now when I go to this site, it will open up at AntarcticReferrals.com/BUR. And you can also see that the BNI Connect login, which is probably too long for that button, now goes into the name that I put there. All right, let's go back to this page. Now, this is the first tab, the Pages tab. And this is where we're going to probably spend most of our time after we've uploaded those pictures to the library. Now, what you see here on the left-hand side is the page hierarchy. So you have your home page, you have your chapter members page, you have the 3 subpages or sections within that page, the member details, the chapter details, and the send message page. And then you can also see there's a gallery page here. So looking at the site itself, you can see we have our home page, which we're on now. We have our chapter members page, which includes the subpages. So once I click on a member, this is now the members details page. And then the show message page is the subpage when we click on send a message. So all of these pages have elements to them that you can go in and make some edits to. Now, one thing you may be wondering is how come there's not that third page, that gallery page that's listed there? So if I go back here, you'll see that the gallery page is somewhat of a special page in the ability to show or hide that page. Now, a lot of people ask, well, can we make more and more pages to our chapter websites? And the answer to that is no. Right now, we can only have the pages that are within the chapter websites. The extra page really is this gallery page. And by default, it is hidden. So there's nothing worse than having a page on the site with absolutely nothing on it. And it was really intended as a way to really share photos and other things with people through your chapter website. If you'd like to use that page, you'll see that there's an option here that says Show. So if I click Show, it says, are you sure you want to show that page? I'm going to go ahead and click Submit or Yes. And now when we go back to our preview page, we'll notice that we have a new page here called the Gallery. And again, if you remember back to when we were talking about the Mill River chapter, that's what they took and turned into really a blog for their chapter. Now you'll see under each of the pages that you also have a couple of other options: Edit Name, Edit Meta Tags, and Edit Content. Now for the name, you can change the name of some of these pages. So let's say I don't want it to be called Home. I'd like that instead to be called Our Glorious Chapter. I can change the name of that page. So again, if I go back and I look at this on our preview site, again, the back end one that we're making the changes on, I can see that our link here changed from Home to Our Glorious Chapter. And you can do that for your other two pages as well. So if you don't want it to be a gallery, you'd like that to then be called a chapter blog, for example, you can go in and change this to chapter blog and click Submit. And now we'll have instead Our Glorious Chapter and Chapter Blog. Now meta tags are, it's really almost an art form getting found by the search engines and all the spiders that are crawling around the internet. For this, it does give you the ability to add in the description, the keywords, and the meta tags. I highly recommend that you talk to the search engine optimization person in your chapter or your region for some techniques on using the best keywords and meta tags for your site. I'm just going to suffice to say for now that the ability is there, and when you do fill this out, it will help your search engine rankings. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this. We have about 13 minutes left. So I'm going to click on the Edit Content button, and what this will do is this will bring us into the place where we can make changes. This will open up in a new screen. So if you don't see anything, do check your pop-up blocker and make sure that your pop-up blocker is not enabled. Now this page consists of a couple of different sections. You'll see the yellow section up here at the top, and this is just telling us that we're editing this particular page, the Our Glorious Chapter page. There's a couple of buttons over to the right-hand side as well. This button says Using Library Images, and that means that if we're going to be adding photos to the page, it's going to be using our library, so all of the photos that we've uploaded to the website. There is also a common library, so some images, such as the one that you see here on the screen, and a number of other branded images exist in a common library. If you'd like to switch to that library, just click on the button Using Library Images. And what you'll see is that it'll switch from using library to using common library. To go back to your uploaded photos, click the button again, and it will bring you back to your library. The preview button will take away all the editing tools and show you what the site will look like. You can click it again to go back and edit it. Of course, after you've made changes, make sure you hit the Save button. Now you notice that there's different areas of the page. So on the left-hand side, notice there's nothing that we can change here. All of that data is pulled automatically from BNI Connect every time that the site is loaded. So it'll automatically get your leadership team and their contact information. It'll automatically get your chapter name and where you're located. As soon as the regional office, if you move to a different location, as soon as they change that in BNI Connect, that will be changed on your website automatically for you. So you don't have to worry about that part of it. Also, you see at the bottom, there's the chapter speakers. If your chapter is, if their secretary-treasurer is loading the speakers into BNI Connect on a weekly basis, they will automatically appear on the chapter web page. If they're not loading them, well, nothing will appear there. Really, the place that we have the most flexibility to edit things is in this middle section here. Now, if you've ever used something like, I don't know, Microsoft Word, 90% of what you can do with this page should be fairly obvious. It is very much like a typical Word editor. You can also change up here in this blue section the words that are here, so I could just type in about our glorious chapter. And then you could change the text and the verbiage and the pictures. And let's just go through and let's take a look at some of these buttons and what they do. Now, if you are a web programmer, I know we have at least one very experienced web programmer here on the call with us today. You can actually do all of this stuff in HTML coding if you'd like to. You can even use another program in order to do all of the design work that you want to do. You can do that by clicking on the source button, and what you'll see when you do this is this will take you to all of the back-end coding of the page. Now, for most of us mortals out there that aren't web designers, this still does come in useful because there are some things that you might want to do that you have to go into the source code for. The other thing this is really good for is for making a backup of your site. For example, I'm about to completely mess up this web page. If I'd like to be able to revert it back to the defaults, I can do that easily by just selecting all in here, copying the contents, and then sticking that right into a notepad document and saving it. Then if I'd like to go back to the original site, I can always just copy everything and pop it right back in there and save it. So I'm going to park that to the side for a while, and after we're done, I'll revert it back to its original glory. And I can switch back and forth and go back to the WYSIWYG editor, the what you see is what you get. Now you notice there's also one special thing in here that you should be aware of. There is what we call a tag in here, and it's denoted by pound, TYFCB pound. Now that's a special variable that gets pulled from the inside of BNI Connect. What that number is your thank you for closed business for the chapter. And that will be, it only gets refreshed once a month, so it has the last 12 completed months of thank you for closed business based on your POMS reports in your chapter. So if you're going back in here, no, it is not going to change on a weekly basis. Right now it's pulling everything through May 31st, going from June 1st through May 31st, June 1st, 2012 through May 31st of 2013 for this particular chapter. It'll update again on July 1st. All right, so let's take a look at some of these tools. Now, the first couple of buttons here are typical Word editing functions. You can change the template if you'd like to. If you don't like the layout of it right now, you can pick a different layout and do it that way if you'd like to. The undo, redo, cut, copy, and paste buttons, those are all the same as you would find in any other editing program. Undo, redo, cut, copy, and paste. The ones that might be a little bit different are the next two buttons, and that's paste as plain text and paste from Word. Now, why these buttons are in here is if you are going to be putting in, let's say, text that you'd like to get from another source, like a Word document or another web page, it's a good idea to use those buttons because when you grab stuff from another source, let's say another web page, it's going to try to put it into this WYSIWYG editor with all of the formatting and colors and fonts and things that you had on the original site or the original document. The problem is that this editor may not have the same fonts and the same styles and all that stuff. It's better to strip all of that out and just leave the text in there, and that's really what these buttons are for, is it'll allow you to just grab the text, paste it in here, and strip all the extra junk out of it, and then you can mark it up the way that you'd like to mark it up. So next ones are, again, just find. So as your website gets bigger, you can find and replace text pretty easily. Select all, same as pressing Control-A on the keyboard. And then remove formatting button. And again, this is good if you fail to do the paste or paste as plain text. So if you start going in and modifying text and colors and fonts and sizes, and you say, oops, you know what, I really don't like that after all, but I forgot all the colors that I made it, you can just highlight it and click on Remove Formatting, and it'll bring it back down to the default text size, font, etc. The next grouping of buttons here is this allows you to do really forms within your web page. Now, forms will require some other back-end coding. I'm not going to go too deep into that here because in order to process the stuff on the forms, you have to write routines for that. But it does give you the ability to create the general tools for that. So you can create a form on here and then put things into that form such as, text box, check boxes and text boxes and radio buttons, things along those lines, entry text fields, et cetera, et cetera. The next couple of buttons over here on the right-hand side, maximize doesn't, I steer away from this one because it skews the way things look on the page, but this is helpful if you are working in the source code because it makes it a little bit easier to read. You can show your paragraph blocks. Some people like that view a little bit better. Superscript and subscript, again, fairly obvious. If you're putting in something like the first, you can superscript that so it shows up above the line. You can bold, italicize, and underline things. You can even strike through. You can put in things like numbered lists. Oops. Or bulleted lists if you'd like to. Increasing indents and decreasing indents, and block quotes as well. The next ones are obvious also, and those are to left justify, center justify, right justify, and full justify. But we start to get into some special web ones over in the next section. Now, the link button is how you get people to link to other sites. So let's say that, please go to our Facebook page. And I'd like the word Facebook to link to the Facebook website. I can do that by clicking on this link button. And that allows us to type in something like, BNI, facebook.com / whatever your Facebook site is called. And that way, when people click on the word Facebook, it will bring them to that site. That's also useful for if you'd like to say, email us, and you'd like that to pop open a new email. The link button allows you to do that as well by making sure you choose a link type of email. You can even pre-type the first parts of the email for them. Note that this tool only works for things like Microsoft Outlook or, program-based emails. Things like Gmail and other web-based programs, that tool won't work for that. You can also link to anchors on the page, so like a FAQ page or something like that. Now, you may want to put in some of those photos that you uploaded to the library. You do that by clicking on the Image button. Once I click Browse Server, this will take me to my library. And I can see some stock images as well as the 2 images that I uploaded earlier. So let's say I'd like to put a picture of Rudder Chaos up there. I can do that. It's going to give me a preview of the picture. Now, it's pretty big, so I'm going to shrink it up a little bit. I'm going to say maybe 200 pixels and click OK. And now I have my Rudder Chaos picture in there. Same thing for the Flash objects if you wanted to put Flash objects into your website. You can also create tables. Tables are also helpful for organizing things on the page. You can even insert pictures into the tables to make sure that they're spaced out properly. You can do things like add lines, and although I'm not really sure why anybody would want to, you can add smiley faces. And if you're looking for some of those special characters like the trademark symbol or the registered trademark symbol, this is where you would find them, such as the copyright sign here. Finally, you can change styles. You can change fonts, although I caution you for changing fonts. And the reason is that Arial is the BNI branded font. So almost every document you ever see coming from BNI will have the Arial font. So before you check with your regional or your, but you can change the sizes. You can also change the colors, and you can change the background. So now that I've made our beautiful new chapter website, I can go ahead and preview it and see what it's going to look like. And then I can save it. Now once I close this, this is now going to be our preview site. So I can take a look kind of in real time and see what our site looks like. Now the rest of the world is still looking at our published site. The final step in this process, if I want to make that live and make that be what everybody else sees, is to make sure I click this Publish button here. Now, this could take anywhere, again, from 5 seconds to a couple of minutes if you have a ton of graphics and content on your sites. That was pretty quick because we don't have a lot on that site. Now, once I click the live URL, this is now what anybody in the world would see if they go to antarcticreferrals.com/BER. So we are at the bottom of the hour. I would like to thank everybody for being on the webinar today. I hope you guys learned something new. I would like to open this up for questions. So if anybody has any questions at all, I would be happy to answer those questions now. But in respect for anybody that does need to leave right away, I do want to thank those people for attending today. Just a reminder, this webinar, including any upcoming questions, is being recorded. You'll be able to review it later by either going to our support site, clicking on support.bniconnect.com or the question mark on the inside of Connect. And you'll find this recording. There will be a June webinars schedule listed here, and you'll find it there, or just go to youtube.com/BNI Connect Global, and you'll be able to find all of the uploaded webinars there. If you have a second, if you could also go to facebook.com/BNI Connect Global and give us a like. We do webinar announcements and tips and tricks and update and release announcements and things like that up there on our Facebook site as well. All right, I don't see any questions. Does anybody have any questions at all about this or anything else in BNI Connect? I'd be happy to answer those questions now. Excellent. Kathleen says, I missed getting your password. Do you mean getting your password for getting into this chapter webmaster portion? Okay, so actually you don't need a special password for this. What it is, it's a special permission that gets added to your existing account. The way to do that is you do need to contact the director consultant for your chapter or your regional office. So give your regional admin a call or give your executive director a call, and they can assign this role, this permission to you within BNI Connect. Once they do that, you will then see it appear. So if you're not sure how to get in touch with your regional office, go to your regional website. For example, my regional website would be bniri.com, and go to the contact page. And on that contact page, you should see all of your regional people listed there and the phone number to get in touch with them. Cool. Do we have any other questions? Again, if you found something useful, please do. A good referral for me is to go back to your chapters, go back to your regions, and let them know about these webinars. I'd love to get all of the knowledge out of my head and into yours. So our next scheduled webinar is tomorrow, June 4th at 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern, and we're going to be going through the online slips and referral tracking program. So how to enter referrals, how to track the referrals you receive through BNI Connect, and all those other slips that we normally pass on paper at the meeting. So again, thank you everybody for being here today. I'd like to wish you a wonderful week and happy connecting, everyone. Have a great day.